Hello. Welcome back to another FOMO Live. Obviously, I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Jack from Book Joy. And we're going to be talking about Eragon today by Christopher Paolini. So, yes. I am very interested to see what people think of this. I don't have a copy.
Very interesting. So this has been on my shelf for, quite a few years now. I picked it up secondhand in an Oxfam bookshop. And this was definitely a FOMO book by all stretch of it, because it's the book I do think I missed out on reading, which is why I picked it up when I saw it. It's so popular, isn't it?
It is really popular. I think especially, like, it's had a resurgence, hasn't it? Because he brought out a fifth book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes.
Good morning. We have someone.
Yay.
I think quite a lot of people, I don't know, the only people I've seen that have read, that I know about, had read it from the usual book club people. Berna talked about it recently. She said she DNF'd it because it was the length of it. It was just, she was like, and she wasn't that into it. And Charlie was listening to the audiobook and just couldn't follow along. So she was like, I'll read the physical book at some point. So I don't know how many people have read Eragon.
Yeah, no, I had a message from Cheryl saying that she read it and really loved it and she wants to read the whole series.
Oh, that's good.
So that is good.
That is good.
That's interesting. I mean, we're jumping about a bit, but the audiobook, so I was reading it as an ebook, and I thought, oh, the audiobook's available as well. So I tried it.
Awful. I got the audiobook as well. I really didn't like the audiobook.
It was horrific.
I
Saphira.
Yes, that was what got me. I was like, no, just have her as a normal voice. But there's a combination of reasons why. Out of the gate, I didn't enjoy I mean, I enjoyed the start of the book. Just put that out there, and I thought I was going to really love it. There's many reasons as to why I didn't love it in the end, and the audiobook is probably a big part of it. And it's not necessarily the book's fault, really, but the audio. There were parts of the book that the book is to blame for, but the audiobook really put me off. The audiobook narrator wasn't good, and also the fact that I had to keep reading it because it's our FOMO book, which kind of made me resent reading it. So by the end, I was like,
yeah.
Which, if it was about a third of the length, I think it would have been great. Bit pacier, you know, because I watched a few videos on it and people talk about it being derivative and, like, you know, rip off of Star Wars. I'm like, I don't care if it's a rip off of Star Wars. Star Wars is great. And also, have you read The Wheel of Time? The complete Star Wars rip off the first book. So I am all for the hero's journey, like, thing, right? That's fine. That doesn't bother me. So I don't really care about that. What I did care about was all the massive info dumping.
Info dumping. Yeah. This was my issue. So just before we carry on, I'll just say that there will be spoilers in this chat. So if you're watching, then be aware that we will be talking about the plot. But yeah, the info dumping was constant
to me. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it.
All the way through. It started up right at the beginning, didn't it, with Brom, and he was telling a story, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I can accept that as an intro. But then all the way through, it was Brom just telling him everything.
Yeah. And by the way, if you try, anyway, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
And then even after that, Myrta was then info dumping.
Yes, and also the narrator of the audiobook was calling him Murtag, and I thought, why is he saying that? I didn't know how to say Myrta. And then I looked in the back of the book, and Christopher Paolini says it is Murtag, and I'm like, does he not know this is an actually existing Scottish name, Myrta? Like, he's not done his research. In the back of the book, this is how it's pronounced, Murtag, and I'm like, oh, I can't listen to people say that. It's not how you pronounce the name.
Yeah, I literally listened to a page on audio and I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't listen to this audio because it's so bad.
Yeah.
Skeleton Key is saying, didn't have time to reread it, but read it some years ago. I wouldn't bother rereading it, mate.
No.
And yes, her voice was terrible. Yeah, I think because obviously it was a reread for me. I loved it the first time I read it.
Perfect.
Look,
I think
loved it, and I felt like the
gateway drug.
series got better as I read. So I would say if people read it and enjoyed it or liked it, then they should continue with the series because it did improve as the series went on from memory. That said, I think as someone who has read a lot more fantasy since I read Eragon when I was about 15, I now see a lot of flaws in Eragon. And I think as well, because you and I read the Garth Nix Old Kingdom
recently, the Old Kingdom, yeah.
Recently.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Which is the same demographic, the same sort of marketing space.
Yeah.
And they're worlds apart in terms of quality of book, right?
Absolutely. And this is the thing. So it's a little bit for me. I've been contemplating Eragon all week to talk about it. And I've been like, is it because I can't remember who I was talking to about. I might have been listening to a podcast actually. I'm talking to someone. I was talking to myself, but I was listening to a podcast recently, and they were talking about the cult and the mythology that surrounds authors. It's really fascinating, and the author is not, the person who writes the book. There's the person who writes the book, and then there is the author, which is their public-facing persona and the mythology around that person that drags people into their story and wants people become obsessed with everything they do, right? And he is one of those people who has a great mythology around him because if anyone didn't know, he wrote the book. He started writing the book when he was 15, and then his parents self-published it, and a famous author at the time, he was at this book fair where he was promoting his books endlessly. He worked his butt off actually promoting the book independently. He went around touring with this book, and they self-published it. And this author was at the fair with like a niece or something, and the niece bought the book and they read it together, and he was like, wow, this is amazing. A 15-year-old wrote this, which actually, when you say a 15-year-old wrote this, I read 15-year-olds writing, and I'm telling you, that's actually quite impressive. Yeah. It is really impressive. It's the scope of it as well is massively impressive. It's not just the fact that he can write, which he can, but the structure of the book flopped massively for me in the info dumping. Like he was a massive teller, not a shower. Yeah. And just constantly being told stuff. But lots of it was very like the plot, the sort of this idea of this world. Like it's really impressive. But it's great for a 15-year-old author.
Yeah.
But is it, great? Is it a great book? So I think the mythology of him has a lot to do with why this book had so big an impact and what the publishers did to push it. I really do, because if an adult produced this and took it to a publisher, they'd be like, mate, it needs to be about 70% shorter. And put actual nice description in it. I don't know. I do think.
Zach said that he did 45% didn't hate it, but was bored. I was bored.
That's fair. I think what Zach's saying, I agree. That's what I would say. I didn't hate it. I was annoyed at it because I had to keep reading it. That wasn't the book's fault.
Yeah. I would have DNF'd it, probably about the same, about halfway through. Andrew's here for the salt. I liked it okay, but didn't feel compelled to carry on with the series. Yeah, the rest, I do remember the series improving, but again, I was a teenager. But
I think the series probably does improve because this is his first book.
Yeah.
How many people publish their very first book?
Not many.
And most people don't want that out there. And, Go Set a Watchman, I'm looking at you. I feel like that should never have been published because Harper Lee, that was her, people don't want their first attempts at writing necessarily published.
Yes.
Because it's how they learn their craft.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I remember reading something about how everyone used to take the mickey out of Daniel Radcliffe when he was in the first Harry Potter film because he was a terrible actor, but he was like, never acted before. So he learned how, and he's a good actor now, but he learned how to act in front of the entire world, right? So it's the same as this. Like, this person's first book should probably never have been published to the acclaim it was. If he had this idea and then he redrafted it a few years later, maybe it would have been amazing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I imagine the series does get better because he improves. Have you read any of his other books? Is it like his adult stuff, like To Sleep in a
No,
Sea?
he's only written one other one, hasn't he? To Sleep in a Sea of Stars.
I think I've got it on the Kindle. You probably have it
on
on
the Kindle. But no, I haven't read it. So yeah, I was so disappointed because obviously I had the complete opposite experience with our last book, To Kill a Mockingbird, where I'd read it at a similar time in my life, and I was like, oh, I'm worried it won't stand up, and it exceeded my expectations. And then I've had the opposite.
But I'm shocked that this. I think the reason I was shocked that it didn't stand up as a because it's still really well loved and it's sold massively and it's so popular. So I think that's why I was shocked at it, because I'm not shocked that you go back to something like To Kill a Mockingbird and that stood the test of time for a good reason. So I think I was like, well, this must have stood the test of time for a good reason. It's boring, basically, and it shouldn't be because it's got dragons and elves and magic, so it shouldn't be boring. And dwarves, and it shouldn't be boring. I think it's just the constant. The dialogue is just bad. It's the constant like. Oh, do you know what? At one point, Eragon as well, he becomes like this. Like he's lived in this village in the middle of nowhere, like Luke Skywalker living on his farm. He's living with his uncle, who then gets burned in a fire, like Uncle Owen. Anyway, and he basically he's never been anywhere, right? Very sheltered. He's smart. He's probably street smart. He's a good hunter, all that kind of thing. And then he goes out into the world, and at one point they're like, "How are we going to find these people who are producing this potion?" And Eragon's like, "Now, Bron, hang on a minute. Do they keep sales records of this stuff in this massive big city and blah blah blah?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't know what you're getting at, Eragon," or whatever. And Eragon's like, "Well, look, we could just go to the Hall of Records and we can track the sales, and that will tell us where it's being shipped to, and we can follow that." And I'm just like, how would you know this? How would you know any of this? I don't know how you would know it. My God, it's like you suddenly turned into, and it was like accounting 101, isn't it? It's like you've gone from being a farm boy to like you're gonna hunt down these like beasts or whatever because you're gonna track some shipping records. Where did you think that up? Like it. Yeah, I don't know. I can't stop it. I've got to not be so salty because it's very well loved, and I don't want to put people off because also I do think it's a good gateway fantasy book.
Yes.
Because clearly it was for you, right? It was clearly that for you, or one of.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think younger readers are people who aren't big fantasy readers. I think it's an easy reading book and it's got some interesting ideas in it, right?
Yeah.
I think the problem is now that it's been done better a lot of times. So one of the things in this, obviously, when he finds the egg and it hatches and he puts his hand on it and he gets the insignia, whatever it's called, on his palm. So that idea was directly stolen by A.F. Stedman for the Skandar books.
Oh, interesting.
So she uses almost exactly the same premise for unicorn riders, right? So, but if
that was actually quite original. That kind of the Dragon Rider Mark thing.
But then you read Skandar and it's a million times better than Eragon. Like just in the way that it's written and the plot and the way she ties things together. And she even writes at the end, like, "Oh, I had all these other ideas, but I had to move them to later books because it was too much." And you can see the thought process that she puts into her narrative and that just isn't there in Eragon. he's got all of these ideas and he vomits them onto the page in the form of Brom telling us everything about the world. And that's what didn't work for me.
The world building is just
lazy.
Yeah, lazy world building. Yeah. But when I started it and I read the prologue, I was like, the prologue's pretty good. I was like,
prologue was good.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. This is gonna be like, just I think I remember messaging going, oh, I'm really in the mood for this because I really want some like, because I am a basic bitch when it comes to fantasy. I like my high fantasy. I like it old fashioned. It's fine, But yeah, so I do think I don't know. Would I read the next book? Probably not if it's as thick as this one. I don't know. They're all quite big, aren't they?
They're all the same, yeah. Yeah, I think the last one is even longer. Zach is saying it was everything I thought it was going to be when I'd heard it was written by a 15-year-old and why I've been avoiding it this entire time. Yeah. As a former gifted kid, I tend to resent the kind of pushiness of prodigies.
Yeah.
Ooh, unicorn riders.
Yeah, Skandar. And these are not your sparkly unicorns. I've not read Skandar yet.
But unicorns.
Do you know that Skandar, the first book, was one of the highest bidding wars before it was published between publishing houses in children's literature since
wow.
Yeah, it went for went to a huge bidding war between the big main publishing houses, and then it was going 6 figures for her. Yeah, before it, and it was just the the first book. So yeah, people they loved it. They went wild for it. The publishing houses.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we've gone on a tangent for Skandar now, but it reads like the next Harry Potter almost. It's got this like magic school vibe and like magical creatures and a baddie, and it really has Harry Potter vibes. So I'm not surprised given how much money those books have made over the years.
Oh, they're always looking for the next one, but there's never going to be another phenomenon like that ever.
No,
that
has the rights for a movie, A.S. Stedman, so there will be a Skandar movie.
The cultural impact of the Harry Potter books is never going to be duplicated, like ever. That they hit there was a kind of perfect storm, and again, that is another bit of author mythologizing that really pushed J.K. Rowling. Who, I mean, is a despicable human being. I can't even. That photograph of her the other day, I just with the cigar, it's like,
I didn't see it.
Awful. But oh god, it's just horrendous. Anyway, but her story. I was listening to this podcast thing about the mythology behind authors and how powerful it is, and the fact that she was, a single mum and really broke, and she sat in Edinburgh in this cafe with the castle over there writing these books. And it's like this whole mythology around her is really compelling, right? So and the books are just great. They wouldn't get necessarily published today. She got loads of rejections before the first one too. But when you look at the way that book starts, before he even gets his letter, we're like 3 or 4 chapters in before he gets a letter to Hogwarts. That would never happen in a children's book today. I bet you Skandar starts bang into the action. Like, that's what they do now, because they just, unfortunately, don't have the attention span for it these days. That's the reality of it, unfortunately. So so Eragon, I think that the mythology around him, and I think he's a really interesting. His story is interesting, and I watched a few videos on it, and they were like, there's some accusations because his parents self-published the book that he's like maybe like a nepo baby type thing, like, but it wasn't like that. I don't think they were like a rich publishing house parents. They just, like, Vanity published this book with him and took him so I don't know, who knows, because he was homeschooled, wasn't he, and he finished high school equivalent by 15. Yeah.
Kelly's saying, sorry, I was going to sneeze then. The way I ate these books up when I was a teen, same. I ate them up when I was a teen. Absolutely.
I would have done this actually. Yeah, I would have eaten this up. Like for a young, I think I would still highly recommend this for younger readers. And I tell you what, it's good for as well. I'm finding it really difficult because I've got lots of students who they're at the age where they're not. YA has become like really dodgy ground to pick out whether it's going to be clean, and yet older enough for them. And this is like what I would say early teen. This is a teen book. Yeah, it's like up to the ages of 13, 14. This would do well. 15. And there's no smuts or anything in it, which you're running like it's really hard to find books like this these days. That kind of teen market is
it is hard,
so I would recommend this. I don't know, I think I'm sad it's my first FOMO flop, and it is a flop because I would have DNF'd it. It's a flop.
I feel a little bit bad for raving about it so much.
No, but this is the thing. It was on my shelf, and it is, like I said, it is a FOMO book. It's a book that had a big impact. It was a huge seller, and it's still popular, and he's still publishing a series. So actually, this is a FOMO book, if ever there was one, because it's one that, it's the sort of book I'm like, I should have tried that. And unfortunately, I just find it really odd that it got such. I think it did get mixed reviews from reviewers, didn't it? I think it was just a big wildly kids.
Yeah, possibly. It's, it's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame. I was keen to read it though. I was definitely keen. It's been sat on my shelf looking at me for ages, and it's great cover art. She looks great.
Yeah,
but she doesn't look like this.
You definitely didn't talk like that in my mind. The trouble is, I read about half of it before I thought, I might try the audio bit because I was getting a bit bored by that point. I thought I might speed things up a bit. So I thought, it's available on Libby, I'll try it. Because I was already halfway through, you already have sort of like in your mind how people talk and like the cadence. And I can usually adapt to a normal narrator, but I was just like, what? Like,
really?
She looks like a normal person in my mind, and she talks like some sort of monster with a throat infection on an audio book. Like,
it was so jarring. It was really, really jarring, and I think there were certain things where, like, I don't know. I mean, let's talk about the positives of the book, because we've talked quite a lot about the negatives. There were some positives in it. What were the positives for you? What were the positives on a reread? What did you notice that was particularly like? Because I do think it, like I said, I would recommend it for children to read. So I don't think it's a bad book in that sense.
I think actually the end section was pretty good. I think because when it got into like the battle element of it, he was showing us instead of telling us.
More exciting.
So I felt more involved then. I thought the character of the dwarf, whose name I can't remember,
Auric,
who was showing him like around, and just sort of the premise of this big under mountain city. I really loved all of that, and I think actually a lot of his concept work was quite good. Obviously, the whole egg thing, but also the witch and the cat.
Yes, I love the werecat actually. Yeah, the concept of some of it, the witch, the werecat, the dwarf city, the underground city, the magic system, the naming of things. That's Patrick Rothfuss does that. And much later, obviously, than this. That. When was that published? 2007, the first Kingkiller book. And this was what year was this published?
I have no
idea. Look here. But so that naming magic, but naming magic is not a new thing, I suppose, really. But but knowing the true name of things, because that's why The Name of the Wind is called The Name of the Wind.
Yes.
This is 2002, first published 2002. Yeah, I think so. The Doubleday edition. Oh yes, originally published by Paolini International in 2002. So that was the independent one. But the one that went on the bestseller list is the Doubleday edition, published in 2004. So it's 21 years. Yeah. and
That makes sense.
and I, yeah, and I think like so I think the magic system, because I was thinking to myself, it feels like a weird soft magic system, all these made up words and blah blah. And then I was like, no, it's hard magic because he's got rules.
Yes.
You know? There are rules to it. There are
but the energy thing I thought was quite interesting.
The fact that he's with Saphira, it's stronger, and that kind of thing. So,
but like, this is another example of where he didn't have to tell us; he could have just shown us. So obviously, he'd already been told by Brom that you can basically overexert your energy, right? And why did he show us that? Because he showed us it later with the sand into water thing, right?
Yes.
So why didn't he just show us instead of telling us? And then, like, he has all these good ideas, but it's just poorly executed, you know?
Yeah, it really was. And it's like, actually, you can see all the stuff that Brom was telling him. Like when they go into this city, and Brom's like, "Did you see the way those houses up there are like that? That's because blah 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 blah." And like, you've clearly done so much great world building, and I don't think it's bad world building. The execution of how you explain the world building, how you've built it into the story, is bad. So actually, the good part, he's built a really interesting world. Yeah. And a really interesting, like, he's clearly got this whole mythology behind it all and everything else. You know, he's got his little language at the back, all the way to pronounce words and everything else. He's thought this through, and then just told us it all, and told us everything.
Yeah. But you know, this the whole like premise of, you know, there were dragon riders and they've all been killed out by this evil king, and like there's only like one dragon left, and there's these 2 eggs. But the whole premise is brilliant.
Yes,
like it's really, really good. So this is why possibly I enjoyed the later books, because maybe he executes them better.
I imagine he does. Yeah, no, I imagine he's clearly got better. Like the Colour of Magic, the first Discworld novel, is like Terry Pratchett's like, don't start with that. Himself, he told you not to start with that book, because he it wasn't his first published book. He published a few books before that. But that's the first Discworld book he kind of touted around, and he got better. Like, he got better over the series, and I'm going to be starting to reread that series, but because I want to reread it in publication date order, and I haven't read The Colour of Magic for years because I never really enjoyed it that much when I was younger. So I'm really interested to read that, because I think it's a similar thing with this. It's like the books get better as the authors craft. The author gets better at their craft. So. Yeah, so I imagine it would be. And I really hope if anyone did read it and enjoy it, they carry on with the series and enjoy it, because I do think it will get better. It maybe I might be tempted one day to read the next book, just because I would be curious to see how he developed as a writer, because he wrote this when he was 15, or started when he was 15. And then his next book, he must have been about 20. Because this wasn't published till he was, like, by Doubleday, till he was 19.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am tempted to go back and read the others as well, because I want to read Murta and see like if that all ties through nicely. Like, obviously he wrote the first 4 in quick succession, and then there's like a 20-year gap between that and the 5th one. So I'm interested to see that, whether I'm interested enough to actually go back and reread them all.
I wonder if you would have to. You know, I wonder if
you would really remember much of this one.
You could go on and read a synopsis online. You should be able to find one, and then get
pretty much be the same as reading the book. Then it'll just be someone telling me.
Exactly, yeah. But you get Murta, or Murtag, as it's pronounced, apparently. I know, it's like,
I'm not pronouncing it like that. I'm not doing it.
No, I know, and it made my heart hurt when the narrator was doing it. I thought it was just the narrator didn't know how to say Murta. And then I looked in the back of the book and like, oh no, that's what Christopher Paolini has said. I wonder if he even knew it was a real name. He probably didn't know it was a real name. So. But I do want to find out who his mum is and who Murta is to him. I'm sure they're related. I'm
Yes.
guessing.
Well, who his dad is, right? Because his mum was his uncle's.
I think the mum was his uncle's sister.
Yes. But
And
his dad, who was his dad?
Well, you see, I don't know who the dad is. I'm assuming the dad is the bad king, because what I was saying was Murta was telling his mum's story. I'll tell you my tale. I'll just tell you everything. And he finally tells the story of his mum being this woman who lived in a little village, and the bad forsworn person.
Oh, so they could be brothers.
Yes, I think they're brothers, because the forsworn person or whatever that fell in love, that is Murta's dad. I think that's Eragon's dad.
Ah, you could be right.
I think that's Eragon's dad. And I think they're half brothers or brothers. No, they'd be full brothers, because Eragon's mum was, I think, punished or something or whatever. She went away for something, and I think that's when she went back to the village and had Eragon and left him there, and then went back.
Could they be twins?
Ooh, even. Didn't she go back and have the baby at the village though?
Oh, did she?
Yeah, didn't just bring the baby back. I think she went back pregnant and had the baby, and then she left again.
Yeah.
Because I think at one point Murta said something like, and then she went off for about 9 months. And no one knew where she was. No, it doesn't say like that, but you know.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I thought that he was going to be Galbatorix.
Yeah, the king.
I thought he was going to be his son.
This is where it's like Star Wars, because he's like the Emperor. You don't see the Emperor, you only see Darth Vader. Like, and it's the same in this. You don't see Galbatorix at all. You just see his little, like, the shade or whatever he's called. Is it?
Yeah.
Shade.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did think the shade died a bit easily at the end of that book. This is like, oh, this is an undefeatable enemy, and then Eragon's like, oh, I'm gonna stab him. Dead, done.
He's so undefeatable, but yeah. But I like the little kind of, he's clearly got a plan for this whole thing, and I think that's what's good about it. He's clearly got this world, this like background, these things that at the end I was like, I want to know who his dad is. I bet you they're brothers, and I wanted to know by the end of it. So in a sense, you know, I'm like, maybe I will one day. Maybe I'll do, but I won't listen to the audiobook. I'm trying to find that chapter where he talks about it, about the mum, and then he stabbed me in the back or whatever. What does his dad do? He throws like a sword at him, Murta.
Yes.
That shows you how bad his dad was, how evil he was.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I don't know, why would he do that and then keep him around, and then also, you know, what's bothered about him at all? I don't know. I'm trying to find Murta's thing. I'll text you about it later if I find it, because I'm curious. I'm sure about my theory.
Oh dear.
But yes, so that's not bad. How many FOMO books have we read now? We've done 12 the last we did 12, and this is the third year, so that's the third book this year.
Yeah, so what's that, 15?
That's our 15th FOMO book, and it's the first one that I've struggled with. So that's not bad.
That's not bad.
And actually, like Zach said, I didn't hate it. The resentment from me was coming from the fact that I wasn't allowed to DNF it.
Yeah. Yes.
And listening to that narrator. Yeah, so I don't know if I have much more to say about Eragon, really, to be honest with you.
No, I think our next book is going to be considerably better.
Absolutely, and a lot shorter.
I'm so excited for this
I'm very
book.
excited. I'm trying to put off reading it until we're closer to the time. But
because it's short. Yeah.
When I'm away next week, I'm on holiday next week, I'm like, I can read it.
Don't do it. So the next book, if you are watching and you don't know, is Never Let Me Go. Yes.
Oh, and I wanted to say to everyone, if you're, I don't know if you're on the Discord, and I haven't announced on the Discord yet, but we have set up the FOMO book club on Storygraph.
Yes.
Yes. So what we've done is, because Gemma and I are terrible at Discord, and I try and remember to go on and check it. And I think because people haven't been really going on there. Some people still do. I feel sorry for them. So I was like, wonder if there's something we could use that would be like that. And Storygraph has book club feature. So we've been trying it out, and it looks good, doesn't it, Gem?
It does look good.
Yeah, it does look good. In fact, actually, I wonder if I can share it on here to show people. But yeah, you can go and join it. I'll send you. I wonder if you could put the link into this description box chat, Gemma. And what I'll do is maybe I'll do a little quick video about it at some point and put it out.
Yes.
Just to show people. But it's great because you can. So what we do is we set. If you're on Storygraph, if you're not on Storygraph, try and join it. It's great. I mean, I'm not on Goodreads. I mean, I've still got a Goodreads account, but I'm not on it anymore. I don't go on there anymore unless I need to look for something specific. But it's so much better, isn't it? And it's independently run, and they don't try and advertise specific books to you. And yeah, it's all rather lovely. But yeah, so what you can do is we set up a read along for each book, and there'll be a forum where you can chat about the book as you're reading along, and we'll be on those because we get notifications in Storygraph, and we're on Storygraph quite a lot, so we will be able to chat to people. And then you can also, we can put out a call for questions and the announcement for when this is happening as well on there. So yeah, we'll try and shove the link in the description box after this goes live.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm excited for that. It looks really good. A good find by Jack, that one.
It's an opportunity to, you know, and it's also just like, this is where you'll find me and you. We only do YouTube and Storygraph. We don't really do anything else.
Do anything else, so.
And I don't really want to, because it's like I've got enough stuff taking up my attention. I don't need Discord and Instagram and everything else anymore.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't cope with any more platforms. So
no, I'm done with it. Yeah.
Okay, so I started reading Murta, but it was a bit difficult to get into. But I think I might give it another go. Just because, like you say, I wanted to know if there's anything that ties in the earlier books. Yeah.
Is it like a prequel? Is it like
sure.
his story, or I'm gonna look it up? I want to see.
Well, we don't need it because he just told it all to Eragon in 2 pages.
He told Eragon his entire story, didn't he? He don't need his backstory. Let's have a look here. It says, the world is no longer safe for dragon riders. Oh, no. So basically, it carries on, I think.
Okay.
It's no longer safe for the dragon rider Murta and his dragon. Is set a year after the events of the inheritance cycle, so you do need to have read all the other books. Yeah. Oh, in this gripping novel, and it's already got 6,642 reviews on Amazon, 4.7 stars. That's pretty good for 6,000 reviews. That's actually very good. This book could work well for first-time readers of the inheritance cycle, but recommend reading the other books first. Yeah, promising reopening of the Eragon verse. The film was a big flop, wasn't it? It was a film.
It was a massive flop. Yeah, it was rubbish.
Flop. Yeah, shame. It's a shame when that sort of thing happens. It must really upset the authors when that happens.
Yeah.
You know, when they make a bad adaptation. It's like the current Wheel of Time adaptation on Prime, though apparently that has got better.
I haven't watched it because I haven't read the books yet, so I don't like to watch things until I've read them.
I need to go back to the Wheel of Time because I really like the first book of the Wheel of Time. I remember reading it when it came out, when I was a bookseller, and I read it because I think it was when it came out, because we had a table in the bookshop of in the staff room of proof copies, and I remember picking it up as a proof copy and reading it, and really got into it because it was just that epic high fantasy stuff. Like I said to you, I'm basic when it comes to these things. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I was even more basic because I was younger. I was like, this is great. I'm really enjoying it. And I didn't touch it, the Wheel of Time books again until about 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, I must reread that and see if I get that nostalgia feeling. And I read the first book and I was like, I was getting all that nostalgia for this lovely high epic fantasy stuff. And then I carried on with the series. I was like, this is great. I'm going to read the whole series. Got to the middle of book 5, and they're all chunkers, right? They're all like, yeah. And there are 14 books in it. And I was like, got to the middle of book 5, and some of the behaviour of a few of the characters. This happens to me sometimes. I can be deep into anything, and I was 5 books in to this 14-book series, and I was just like, I wanted to throw it across the room because of the behaviour of the characters, and I didn't go back to it. But I do want to return to it. I think I should have pushed on through a little bit with it, because I think the whole thing's supposed to be worth it. Like the whole and the world is great. It's like, it's a really interesting premise. It's just the way he writes women. Me, you know.
Yeah, that's annoying.
But then that's kind of some tradition, like older fantasy. You've kind of got to suck that up if you want to read it.
There is that for sure.
Some older fantasy. Like I read, talking about dragon books, like I read the original dragon book, Dragon Riders of Pern, this year, which I'd always wanted to read. I mean, she wrote that in the 60s. That's the original Dragon Rider fantasy.
Is that Anne McCafferty?
Anne McCaffrey, yeah. I've got it here. So I read it, where would I put it? Dragonflight.
Because I've picked up like the first 3 on Kindle deals.
Oh, yeah. So I read this. I have wanted to read these. My brother had these when I was a young kid. My brother had these on his shelves. He was a huge fantasy reader, and I wanted to read. And like, dragons are big business, right? They're huge business now. Like, every one of their mum writes dragon books. Like, what is it, Rebecca Yar's Fourth Wing and all that. Carry on.
Yeah.
So I've had this on my shelf for because I picked up this secondhand copy about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. I actually had, you know, do you remember my video where I got all my books out, my unread books, and counted them, and I was like, and then the next day a box of books turned up, and I was like, I can't remember the books. And the next day a box of books turned up, and I was like, oh, just before I go, I've got some more unread books that just turned up. And this was one of them, because there's a really lovely, I think if it's still going and you live in the UK, I would highly recommend, if you like to support an indie kind of like online bookshop, they sell secondhand sci-fi and fantasy. It's called the something Goblin. I'll try and remember the name of it. They're really good. And what they do is, so they've always got, they try and put the sets together, so you can order a set. So I got my Assassin's, like, Farseer trilogy, the old covers, because I didn't want the new stupid covers. I wanted the old covers. And then they had Anne McCaffrey's Dragonflight. I want to get that. And they wrapped them up and they put them in the box. And like unwrapping presents. I mean, it was wrapped up in like this newspaper stuff, but it was still all wrapped up neatly and very sweet. So I opened this up, and it's been sat on my shelves ever since. And I kept thinking, is it going to stand up now? And actually, I sat and read it, and I read it in 2 days, and I really enjoyed it. But talking about this like problematic thing, like there's the female dragon rider and the male dragon rider, and because their dragons are mates, then therefore they have to be mates. And there's a bit of basically, I was like, the male dragon riders, like when the dragons are all like, oh, getting it on, and like because they're feeling lustful, then him and her get it on, and then afterwards he's reflecting on it, and he goes something like, he didn't realise she'd never been with anyone before, and so to him it was almost like, that's what he says in the book. And I was like, oh, this is dated. This has actually dated. Yeah. The story and the world building are fascinating, but are
they adult books or children's books?
No, they're grown-up books.
Because it's quite short for a fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was 1967, I think this was published. So I think, I don't think you got your, I mean, it's Tolkien, I suppose. I was going to say, but yeah, I think this was, they're all quite short, these Pern books, not that big, and there's quite a lot of them. But yeah, so that was the only thing that kind of like, I was like, oh, and he's always shaking her. He was like, he's always shaking her. She won't listen to him. He's always like, I just imagine that. And I was just like, that's not on. Shaking her, shaking her, because she's like, so in that sense, those bits have dated. But the world building and the story, I was really gripped by it, and I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. It wasn't brilliant, but I was gripped enough to read it over 2 days. I was like, I'm going to find out more, you know. And the world building was really interesting, because it's technically kind of sci-fi fantasy, because it's set on another planet.
Ooh.
Yeah, Pern is another planet, and Earth. People from Earth have gone to Pern because Earth has died off or whatever, and they've been on Pern for so many generations. They don't remember Earth. They don't remember that they're from Earth. And I think that's going to feature later in the books. Yeah, I think that seems to be set up for them discovering this about themselves later. I think. Yeah. So interesting. So if you want to read a good dragon book, but be careful because it's a little bit problematic. I would say a little bit dated. I did enjoy that. Shelley Swearingen read this recently and loved it. I was shocked. I didn't think it was her type of book at all. Yeah.
Crikey.
Yeah. So
Shelley Swearingen reading dragon.
I know. Have you got a favourite dragon book then overall? Oh, The Hobbit. I didn't even need to ask. I don't know what I'm asking you. I was going to ask you, but I know you love The Hobbit. I'm not a huge fan of The Hobbit.
What?
I know, mind blown. I know, and I love Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I think it's because when I was a kid I didn't like it, so I've kind of got memories of reading it as a kid and not really liking it. And I've got a lovely illustrated version over there that I bought when I was like a bookseller, because I was like, surely I'll love it now. I've got to get it, and it's a beautiful illustrated version. And yeah, not.
Oh my goodness, it's like the best adventure story ever.
Oh no, I know. I don't know. I just, when I was a kid I didn't enjoy it, and yeah, it's kind of stuck with me. I think I should probably try rereading it at some point.
Yeah.
And
have you not reread it? Is that all?
I tried to reread it about when I got that illustrated version, and it's beautiful. My illustrated version, it's lovely. And I think I didn't enjoy it then, so I was like, I didn't finish it. But I don't know if I'd appreciate it more now, because every time I reread Lord of the Rings, I love it every time. I love it more. So I don't understand why I don't love The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I'm weird. Let's put it that way.
I don't understand.
Being strange. Yeah. So I love dragon books. All right. That's enough dragon book talk.
Dragon book talk is complete. I feel like it's been a short and sweet one today because we haven't got so much. Well, we have been on for 50 minutes actually, so it's not that short and sweet. But yes, I think we'll wrap it up.
Yes.
We look forward to seeing you guys hopefully on Storygraph.
Yeah, I'll put a video out at some point with the screenshots of it to show people like and stuff.
And hopefully Ishiguro won't let us down.
I don't think we'll be let down.
Just
protector of the small.
I don't think we'll be let down either. So yes.
Okie doke.
Yeah, I've not heard of that. Protector of the Small by Tamura.
I think I've heard of that also, but I've not heard of that series. Yes.
Check that out. So yes, we will say goodnight. Thank you everyone for joining us in the comments, and we'll see you very soon with another one.
Yes.